Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at Bitcoin and the Bitcoin related stocks. Okay, so these are going to be the big board Bitcoin related stocks, and Bitcoin has been breaking out higher. We posted a chart showing the tight channel that had formed, and it was a similar setup to the last time that it formed a tight channel, and it made a nice breakout higher above 11,000. So now with the break above 11,000, it's pushing towards that $12,000 level. As you can see here, it hit a high at 11,800, just above, and so it's working its way up to this 12,000. As you can see here, the moving averages have curled up. You've got a parabolic breakout. A couple of days ago, I posted a chart showing this tight channel, and then the breakout above. And then we had been discussing in our chat about these long upper wicks and what's going to happen next. And when this candle was forming here, I was thinking that it was going to push higher. It was looking to me like a similar pattern to this setup. This is looking like it has an Elliott wave pattern going on, and so this was looking like the next push higher. The next target was back up towards the top of this channel, and as you can see, the candle here busted through the top of the channel, and now it's continuing higher. Notice the upper Bollinger Band, the green line there, is getting almost completely vertical. It's just pushing very hard. EMA or the 9-day simple moving average. Notice how it's curling up, very very strong as well. That's the big support level to hold. That is currently down here at 10.337. As long as that's holding, the chart is super strong. Once you see a close below that level, that'll signal the chart's starting to cool down. Okay, and so currently the bottom of the channel here is way down here at 10,400. Notice how it busted out of the top, and so now it's breaking out to the next level. So now we're looking at 12,000 is the next big target, the next big level to break. My theory is that this will stay in play into December 18th, and then we'll see what happens after the futures trading. There could be some sell-off beforehand, people just trying to play it safe and go into the sidelines before December 18th, so keep that in mind. We're going to keep an eye out for that. Okay, so let's look at OSTK. Okay, so this is ready to bounce. All right, so if you've been thinking about, when is OSTK, when is Overstock.com going to bounce? Well, this sure looks like the setup. If it doesn't bounce here, I mean, the chart is totally broken. Okay, so it's due to set up for a bounce on Monday. Notice that you've got the all the way down here at 0.43 for Fasto. I mean, the last time it got down below 20 was down here after a big pullback. Look at all the red candles in a row back in September, and there was a gap up open and a big run higher. And so you have a very similar setup here, except for the break was well below the middle Bollinger Band. So if you saw the last chart, I guess I should have posted that. I should have showed that one. It had the channel. I'm just trying to make this video a little bit quicker if I can. There was a break below the middle Bollinger Band on Thursday that signaled downside risk. We wanted to see the middle Bollinger Band hold. That's the dotted purple line. When that broke, that signaled more downside risk, and we were looking for the next target for a potential reload, and that would be the 50-day simple moving average at 40.87. So we're looking for a bounce off of that level. It should be able to bounce off of this support zone. Following 5 red candles in a row, hitting the 50-day simple moving average should be a catalyst for a technical bounce. And then being way down here at 41, the EMA 4 is the big resistance level to break, currently at 48.41. So that's a nice 28 or that's a nice 20% gain back to just EMA 4. If it dips down to 41, that should be the load zone. If it fails to hold that, that's going to signal major downside risk. If it can't bounce off the 50-day simple moving average, the chart's going to be really broken. You're going to see that the lower Bollinger Band is the next big level to hold. If that breaks, then you're talking about a drop all the way down to the 100-day simple moving average. It is crucial for the bulls that this bounces, that this recovers here off of this $41 50-day simple moving average zone. If it fails to do so, it's going to signal more downside risk. It has to close above EMA 4 to get the reversal going. If you look here at the 15-minute chart, you could see here it's been on this really nasty downtrend. So it was way up here at 65 on the 24th, and notice how it's just gone straight down. And so look at the big volume spike at the end of day. So there was some big loading end of day. It does look like some bottom feeders were loading down here off of 42. So it's going to be trying to bounce off that 42 level. It has to get above the middle Bollinger Band. That's the first level to break. That's currently at about $44. And then, well, the first level is EMA 4. Okay, so that's the pink line here. And that's currently at 42.88. Once it gets above that, that'll be a signal the bounce play is starting to heat up. And then it has to get above this middle Bollinger Band at $44 to get a new uptrend going. And then really to be back in play, to be like, okay, yeah, this chart is healthy again. The bulls are taking control. It has to be back above the 50 simple moving average at 45.68. So it has a lot of work to do. Keep an eye on it. We'll see if it can bounce off this $41 to $42 support zone. If you look at Nvda here, it also had a big pullback. Okay, so it's trying to bounce off of 20 on RSI, or I mean on Fasto, and so it's down here off, trying to bounce off of oversold levels. You have RSI below 50. It needs to get back above 50. What happened is you had the bounce off of the 50-day simple moving average, like I was talking about for overstock. Notice how the candles. Okay, so it closed just below the middle Bollinger Band here. That's the dotted purple line. And then on Wednesday of last week, there was a big drop. And notice how it tried to hold the 50-day simple moving average, and then there was a bounce the next day off of that level. That's what we're looking for OSTK, the bounce off of the green line. Notice how on Friday it's trying to hold that level. If OSTK, if Nvda fails to hold the 50-day simple moving average, it'll be just like overstock.com, and it could drop all the way down here to this 100-day simple moving average. That is the downside risk, is it could head down here to 182. Now if it bounces off this level, it needs to get above 201. This is crucial for the charts. It's already in a downtrend. It's below the middle Bollinger Band, right in EMA 4, resistance lower. The bears are already in control. This is really the last line of defense for a bullish chart. Notice how it bounced off of the 50-day simple moving average in the past when that level was hit. And so if it fails to hit, that's just a clear signal that the bears are actually in control. And then you're looking at this is a short. This is not a right now this is a short. And so it has to get above EMA 4 for it to be a long play. It has to get back above 201. Notice the long lower wicks on the candles down here. That is a signal that people have been loading. There was a big volume spike here. It looks like they loaded in this zone. So we'll see if it can push higher. Keep an eye on the 15-minute chart for Nvda. Notice how it has the tight Bollinger Bands. The candles closed above the dotted purple line at 196.60. That is the middle Bollinger Band. And the big level to break, it has to get above the green line. That's 198.45. If it can get above that level and turn into support, it could get an uptrend going. Notice how back here on the 30th, it got above the 50 simple moving average in the 15-minute chart, but it failed to stay above that level. It tried to stay above that level at the open on the 1st, and it couldn't, and it consolidated. So once it can turn that level into support, that would be a signal, okay, the stock's in play. It has the 100 simple moving average right above at 200 and basically 201. If it can get above that, that would be the clear signal, and then you're looking at a potential working its way back up to 207, 209. So there was some good volume. It looks like it's setting up here. It has the tight Bollinger Bands. It has the look here like it's trying to form a bottom. You have the multiple bottoms down here in this zone, and it does have a higher low going on. So it's setting up. It just has to break through resistance. Notice you have descending resistance. It has what's going on is a symmetrical triangle pattern. So ascending support, descending resistance. A break above the red line signals upside potential. A break below the green line signals downside risk. Okay, now let's get on to to more of the penny stock plays for the Bitcoin stocks. And here you have MARA. Okay, so this one is I guess it's getting ready to get out of that penny zone range if you can get back above $7. But here it is with a nice nice uptrend going. Okay, so it held that 300-day simple moving average currently at 408. That is the big level to hold. It needs to stay above that level. If it drops below, then there's this gap that we've talked about in prior videos, and you could see a drop down here to the 270s to fill the gap. The top of this wick is the bottom of the gap. If it stays above the 300-day simple moving average, it's still in play. We want to see it retrace back here, up here to the $6 level. That's the upper Bollinger Band, and then up here the bottom of the gap. There's a gap between these two candles, and so it could come up here and fill the gap. The top of the gap is 625, so that's the target, is a move up to 625 to fill the gap if it can stay above EMA 4 at 450. Okay, so it has a nice uptrend going. We'll see if it can continue. It made a bullish move on Friday, so this was nice to see. It was really strong into the close if you didn't get a chance to watch the action, but it came through. Notice how it had the really small volume bars. You know, the volume was really light during this consolidation period, and then it had the pop at the end with the good volume spike. It ran right up to the high close resistance level on the second to the last candle of the day, and then the very last candle it broke above. Notice how it closed above that level. That's the signal it wants to head higher. Well, it actually did head higher in after hours trading. It was up above $5, about 506, 507, and after hours trading it was up around 10 cents or so. We'll have to see what's going on with pre-market, but it's signaling that it wants to head higher. And so yeah, the chart is all set up. The volume spike and the you know, there's a PSAR bull flip. You know, there was the close above resistance, and then there's the MACD bullish crossovers on both time frames. They're all signals that it's ready for another push higher. And then if you look at this 15-minute chart that we've been working on, you can see there's this gap from back here on the between the 27th and the 28th. There was a drop, and this is the bottom of the gap. This is the top of the gap, and so you can see where 625 is lined up with the top of the gap. And so what we're looking for is a break above the bottom of the gap level as well. Notice how this is the high close that we were talking about. You know, it needs to break above that $5 level. That's a huge level for this. And then it's the about 540 or so, 535. That was the from up here on the 29th. And if it can get above that level, then you're looking at a gap fill and a run back up to $6 and that 625 level. So yeah, so keep an eye on it. A break above $5 and it could head up there to fill that gap up in the sixes. Okay, let's look at RIOT. It has a nice, it's a very similar pattern. Okay, this is a very similar pattern. You know, it formed the little candle. It's like it's an you know, it's a small you know, almost indecision candle. This is almost a doji here, and it's trying to hold support. It's staying above EMA 4. It's back above that level, so that is very good. The pink line, you want to see that level hold at 1457. Okay, so if that can hold, the big level to break is the closing price here on the 22nd at $16. If it can get above 16, you know, that would signal that it wants to head higher, and then you're looking for a potential run back up in the 20s. It has to bust above the upper Bollinger Band at 1958. So $16, you know, 1958 is it will be the next big level, and then 23. If it fails to get above 16, it could pull back. You know, it'd be most bullish if it stays above EMA 4. If it drops below EMA 13, that's when you could see the middle Bollinger Band tested down here at $11. Okay, let's look at DPW. Okay, so it has you know, a similar kind of pattern. You know, these stocks made big moves and pulled back. And this has a lot of air on the chart. There's a lot of gaps. There's multiple gaps on the chart, and so basically the gap, the upward gap here is between you know, this candle down here and this candle right here, and the gap started to fill with this candle here, and so as you could see, it could come up and finish filling this gap here. That would be the next move. All right, and to the downside, there's a big gap down here. So, you know, a drop down to 89 fills this gap to the downside. As long as it holds EMA 4, it should keep pushing higher. If it drops below EMA 4 at 166, that's when you have to be concerned about it possibly coming back and filling this gap. Okay, so if it holds, you know, it's been holding this whole time that it's been bullish, so that would signal more upside. Now, you know, coming up on Monday, it has to get above this $2 resistance zone. You know, if it fills the gap here to 205, it has to push higher. You know, it's the close here is this is the high close level, you know, right above 210. It's like at about 212 or so, and so that would be the big high close level to break. So it's got this resistance zone. It's got the gap fill, high close, break above both those levels above 210, 215, and that would signal it wants to head higher. Okay, let's look at GCAP. Okay, so this one is you know, it has a nice uptrend going. Okay, so they're going to be handling some some of the Bitcoin trading. So this is one of the stocks to keep an eye on, GCAP, because we know how well, I'm going to get to CME next, and you know how well that chart's been doing. If you look here, it has a good uptrend. It's been holding the middle Bollinger Band. You know, broke above the middle Bollinger Band on this big candle. You know, it held that level. That's this dotted purple line here, currently at 734. So the uptrend's intact. It formed an indecision candle here, a spinning top on Friday, this black spinning top. You know, it filled the gap below. It's still closed above EMA 4 at 734. So the chart's still very bullish. It needs to get above the closing price here on the 23rd, and so that's at about 80, $8.31, $8.32. If you can get above that level, close above that closing price on the 23rd, that's going to be your signal that it wants to head higher. That's the recent high close. It's right here at the upper Bollinger Band at $8 resistance level. You know, if it fails to break that level, you know, it could consolidate more. You know, it has a nice uptrend going. You know, a break above 830 is going to be your signal that the uptrend is strong. It's making new highs and it wants to keep pushing higher. Okay, notice it has really good volume. So there's good volume behind the move. Yeah, and it just bull crossed on the 8, 13, and 5 MACD. Okay, so look at CME. This is the investment group that's going to be handling the Bitcoin futures. And so as you can see here, they have got a really strong chart going right now. This is the weekly chart, and so there was this big breakout this week. It's really strong for heading into this December 18th Bitcoin trading, and so it's riding EMA 4 support higher. It busted through the upper Bollinger Band at 148 on a volume spike. You know, as long as 144 is holding, this chart is super bullish, and the signals to keep riding. You know, it's been holding for quite some time. You know, it did pull back and test that middle Bollinger Band in July, and it held. You know, this is a good long-term play. You know, it's been very strong. I mean, you can only have to imagine that since this is the very start, historic start of Bitcoin futures trading, that this has to be very favorable for them. I know it's only a small percentage of their business, but you know, who knows what this is going to lead to. Yeah, it's got to be good. Yeah, it's good for the share price right now. It keeps pushing higher. Let's look at SRAX. Okay, so this is doing very well. It's in the bull zone on RSI and FASTO, so you can see both indicators are in 60. So they have room to run until overbought levels. You know, it's been consolidating. You know, notice it has really good volume. You know, there's been big volume behind this move. Volume's always the key. You know, it signals more upside potential. You know, even when this thing consolidated sideways, notice how it was on really light volume. People did not sell. You know, people were holding all through this. You know, and then finally the volume came and it pushed to the next level, and that's what you're looking for here. Is you're looking for some volume to push through this closing price here on the what is this, the 24th, and if it can push through this 775 or so resistance level, that's going to be a signal that wants to head to that next level. You know, it closed back above EMA 4, currently at 596. That's the big level to hold. You know, just to stay super bullish. You know, the chart's extremely bullish when the candles are riding EMA 4 support higher. As long as this EMA 13 at 535 is holding, it's super strong. You know, as long as the middle Bollinger Band way down here at 446 is intact, you know, is holding, then the uptrend is intact. It just, most people don't like to hold for the drop, you know, down to that level. So this has a great uptrend. We're going to see if it can push higher. It needs to break through 775, and it would be best, you know, if it held this, if it stayed above $6, that would be best. Okay, so it closed right. I know it closed right at that level, but that would be the most bullish if it could hold that level tomorrow. And take a look at SSC. Okay, so this stock did correct. It pulled back. It's still in the bull zone on RSI at 56. FASTO now is hitting oversold levels. It's all the way down here at 21. You know, the stock made a nice move. It had the big sell-off. This was the climax spike. You know, it had the climax volume spike, the climax, pullback from high of day. These were all signals to exit. The big red flag on the chart was this gap. You know, there was a gap between the 23rd and the 24th, or whatever. Between these two candles, and so this was signaling downside risk. You know, when there's a gap and you start seeing a red candle forming, you know, the gaps many times get filled with these penny stocks, and it did come down, and the gap did fill. So this candle right here filled the gap, this lower wick, and you know, and this candle filled the gap as well, and it bounced off of the middle Bollinger Band and the 50-day simple moving average currently at 230. As long as those levels hold, this uptrend is intact. Now it needs to get back above EMA 4 at 267. If you see it back above 267 or close above that level, you know that signals that the chart's still strong and it wants to push higher. And then what you want to see is it bust through the upper Bollinger Band at $3 resistance level. You know, the high close resistance level is right here at about 315 or so, 312. You know, a close above that level is going to signal that it wants to break out higher. You can see that, you know, it has the open was way up here when it had the gap up open at 430. So yeah, so keep an eye on SSC, and then another one to keep an eye on is TEUM. Yeah, this one really pulled back. You know, it had the nasty pullback, and that's why we always say go to the sidelines when a black candle forms. I know people have to learn the hard way, and you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But when people give you the tip on you know how pain and suffering can happen if you don't follow the simple trading rules, this is one of them that's really important to try to follow, because this could happen to you. You know, you could get in here and chase this thing on a black candle and hold, and you're up here in the 140s, 150s, and you don't get out, and then next thing you know, it's all the way down here at 90 cents, and you're like, what happened? And it's because you held with the black candle. So just keep that in mind. When a stock is in an uptrend, there's a gap up open and a black candle forms, and it's always, and it's above the upper Bollinger Band. The safest thing to do is just go to the sidelines, regroup, look for a new entry point. So now this thing pulled back. Okay, so it's below all the moving averages, it's below the middle Bollinger Band, and then the big support levels down here in the 80s, and so you have this like 81 support zone. You know, that would be a good level to bounce off. If it can get back above the middle Bollinger Band at 93, then it could get going again. So really, you know, if you're a bull and you're in this, you want to see it get back above 93. You know, that would be the best. You don't want to see it get back below this middle Bollinger Band, because that could signal, you know, that this previous downtrend was going to continue. You know, it started a new uptrend here. Let's pull back to the middle Bollinger Band. If this stock is going to be, you know, stay in play, it has to stay above the middle Bollinger Band 93. Drop below, and it will no longer be in play unless you're short. Okay, so yeah, so let's keep an eye on Bitcoin. You know, check out how it's breaking out higher. It's at 11,493. Beautiful uptrend here. Congrats to everyone. Keep following. Check us out at our Discord app. It's a mobile app, and you can use that for stock alerts. You know, we're giving cryptocurrency updates, posting about all new plays, technical analysis, and educational information. And we do offer a premium channel for real-time alerts and for more in-depth research and analysis. Okay, so thank you very much for viewing this video.